Welcome everyone to week 8, which is all about automated grade control. Uh, we'll start out by taking a look at the overview, which I think is quite extensive if I remember, and I'll tell you why here in a minute. Let's get her open. As you can see, there are more than the usual objectives here. We have one quiz, and I believe we have a tailgate in this week. Have to check that out here momentarily. But let me explain this. Uh, Linked within the week 8 module is a trainee guide that's like about 40 pages long. Uh, I have it in here because automated grade control is relatively hard to teach uh, without a rover, uh, antenna, and equipment, that's needed when using automated grade control. So I have an in-depth look at how it's done, uh, starting with the satellites, who owns them, how many are they, how many do you need to have accurate readings and triangulation, things like that. That's what the module starts out with. Now, let's talk about the quiz. The quiz, when you get to it, I believe has 16 questions. And during the video, I'm going to talk about what I think is important within the module, what I'd like to see you leave here with. Now, it mainly covers these bulleted points that I have in the overview here. It may jump around a little bit, but I'm going to talk about different things that probably will be on the test because I consider them important, but I'm going to talk about them so that you won't have to read 40 something pages uh, to prepare. Uh, I want you to read it, but you won't have to research it so much. I'm going to give you a little oral study guide. So, really quick, I need you to grab a sheet of paper and a pencil because I'm going to be giving you some really powerful time saving hints as we go through this thing. So that's you can go back and take a look at these. This like it starts out overview as GPS and laser technologies are having an increasingly pervasive influence on the heavy equipment and construction industry. And so this is within the module, or in this case, within the linked trainee guide that I have within the module. So explain the principles and applications of GPS technology. That's not an that's a multiple choice question that will be in there. This consists only of multiple choice. So that gives you a hint that you're not going to have to go and memorize that whole 40 something pages. That you will, multiple choice are not as I don't believe as accurate as essay and interpreting what someone has learned, but I still like them, and especially in cases like this, because you actually have what are called distractors that can be used as uh, uh, prompts, if you will. So take your time on this thing. It's remotely proctored. I think they're all those kind are using proctorial set for about 120 minutes. So that should give you plenty of time, and I'm sure I have it set for 2 attempts. If I don't and you want another one, give me a call or email me or inbox me. So let's leave the overview for now, and I want to move. Let's see what I want to do next. Let me get back to the actual modules. And we just talked about the course overview here. This right here is, I'll click it in a minute. This is, I believe it's a PDF. I'm not sure. Canvas has a doc reader built in, and it actually is timed. I didn't know that. I opened this 40 something pages on several occasions, but didn't need to spend a lot of time in it to get what I needed. And I'm very real familiar with it because I wrote it a few years ago. So I didn't have to take too much time in it. Uh, so I don't really want to go to it right now. Uh, the timing thing kind of freaks me a little bit. I didn't know those things were timed. This one ran out on me because I left it open and got up to do something and came back and I had to start over. So let's see what the tailgate is I love this tailgate. You may say, uh, I don't know, but I'm going to open it up and I'm going to show you uh, a little bit about it. I wanted to say something. Every time I make an outline, it's just like blows it out the window. But I'm just going to give you this reminder. Uh, the tailgate, unless otherwise specifies, is going to require an initial response, a first response to another student, a second response to another student. So that's three responses. I have noticed on occasion, it very recently, that one or two of those responses had been left out. Let me tell you something. Each response is worth, well, according to whether it's initial, first, or second, but it's worth up to 30 to 35 points. So when you leave a 35-point response out, you just failed this tailgate, right? Because three responses, two of them are worth 35 and one is 30. That's 100 points. You leave one out, and it's a 35 pointer, and it doesn't make you I'm going to give you 35 points just for responded. You get up to 35 points based on the quality of your response. And I have different criteria, which, believe it or not, you have seen, or at least had the opportunity to see, on how I score these responses. So here is a really favorite subject of mine. Why do competent workers become incompetent managers? I have been in construction. I, and this doesn't always just apply to construction, but I've been in construction for over 30 years, well over 30 years, as a matter of fact. Uh, kind of aging myself, but that's okay. I'm kind of proud of those years. It has been good to me. So there's a company called Fast Company. It's an American business magazine that focuses on technology, business, and leadership. The leadership component is what made me keep reading this article. And I have cited it. I'm doing that right now. It's written by Thomas Comoro and Comoro Permuzik, I think, and Sonny Lee. So they talk about the problem uh, in the opening paragraph, which I really like. It says managers play a crucial role in shaping an employee's experience. For example, research, and I don't think that link is live anymore, but it goes back to talk about 70% uh, variability in employee engagement. In other words, they do different things, do different ways, and can be predicted by their managers' behavior, decisions, and personality trait. In other words, whether people are happy, energized, or miserable at work depends mostly on their boss. And whether that person that is a boss, is an incompetent manager. And they say to bring home the problem, the authors say that many employees quit their boss, not their job. I can relate to that. There's another in study over 7,000 adults found that 50% of employees quit to escape an incompetent management. Now, let me talk about this just for a second, and then when you get to in this week that you'll be in, you can do your own reading and your own interpreting. But you, even myself am guilty of this, just as a superintendent and before that a foreman. You get in a bind. Human resources or somebody knew you need a hand, you know, and so you hire this young man or woman, and that doesn't know much, has had a little bit of experience. You don't hire them as an operator, maybe as a laborer, you know, and let them to work their way up. So you get someone to show them the ropes. Well, we and myself included, and others for sure, and throughout history, I think, have gone to the best operator, painter, electrician, technician, uh, the guy that's the best at what he does, and you say, this is the guy I need to show this person. Well, as I wrote myself in here, is you get, I used a fictitious fellow named Joe. You know, he may know everything there is to know, and I said about stormwater installation, but he has no people skills. He's just hard to get along with. He doesn't have the patience. He has no idea how to convey information, how to communicate. He's just a good backhoe operator or an excellent excavator, you know, operator. Knows exactly how to get those stormwater drains in and with the right falls and things like that. But he cannot teach. He cannot. Case in point, teaching my daughter how to drive a standard shift. You know, when fathers teach, or parents, let's say, teach uh, their children how to do something technical, it turns out to be a mess. I had my daughter in tears within less than that, within 30 minutes. You know, my expectations are too high. My patience is too low. You know, I know how to drive a standard shift. You know, I know what she needed to do, but I just wouldn't give her time to do it, you know. So this is what this article is all about. And it talks about what's called the Peter Principle, and maybe some of you uh, have heard of that. We promote people to their highest level of incompetence, and I just love that saying. A little bit hard to grasp at first, but we keep promoting them to a point where they can't do their job. You know, they're not managers. I've always said that baseball pitchers and leaders are born; they're not made. And I almost, you know, I really think so. There's just something in a person that makes him a leader. There's something that a baseball pitcher has that I don't have, and I don't know what that is, but that's what I believe. Now, I'm not saying you can start out on the wrong foot as a laborer. You can be a negative person, but you can watch other people's lead, follow example, and maybe start making those changes that you need to change to be a leader. Uh, Humility is the greatest uh, asset a person can have, to have the ability to be wrong, be okay with it, and do better. So, leadership, I don't know if it can be taught without a desire to be a leader. And we've touched on this before. But as you go through this, just think about you becoming a leader, you starting in a position in a new company, and what you might do to stay on the right track. You know, you're there to teach. That's what I keep hounding you with you can know everything there is to know about a lot of things, but you may not have that ability to communicate them. That's what the tailgate is about. It's the very basics of how to talk to your employees in a manner that not only do you maintain, well, I won't go into all of the respect, but that they walk away from that meeting understand fully what's at stake here on this job. So I'm going to get off my soapbox now. But this is an opportunity to do a good, that we can put together a good discussion, so let's not waste it. Now then, let's go back to the technical aspect of week 8, which is automated grade control. We've looked at the overview. So now get your pencil and paper ready, or be ready to pause this video or go back to it, because I'm going to open this little booger up, and hopefully it'll stay open for us. But this was a project started about 3 or 4 years ago that I was involved with, where we wrote a curriculum. We have it. It's kind of in waiting. We're still tweaking on it even after 3 years, but we hope to have. But this is one of the let's say, uh, if you went through a certificate program, you know, this would be like what you saw from the National Center for Construction Education and Research, is probably the sources you had that you were taught from. But this is about automated grade control. Now, I have gone through this and gone through this 2 or 3 times just recently to find out of all of this stuff, what in the world would I like for them to come away with? And consequently, the test was made accordingly. The first thing I would like to for you to do is just here's the triangularization. Here's some principles, and we'll go to them as we go through here. Automated system, the dimensional automated. I can't teach this from this content. Transmitter, all of these things. That from this, I have picked out test questions. So, you know, it has some review questions. Those are helpful. But take the time to read through this, get familiar with it, and I'm going to give you some help on maybe where to focus. The first thing that came to my mind is, what in the world does GPS stand for? You know, well, honestly, if you go to page 2, you'll find that out. Uh, and who owns the GPS system? You know, still on page 2. Page 2, it goes on and on about these kinds of things. So what are some of the principles of GPS technology? Like, I keep going down this, but it kind of varies for this. But speaking of principles, you should be able to name the segments of the global positioning system. And you know, let's kind of go to page 2, because that's where a lot of this stuff is. It makes me dizzy flying through this thing. Here is the introduction, which is probably close to the regular page, page 2. See, look at here. Here's the segments. You should be able to name these segments. You know, they're on page 2. Right there they are. Right there they are. You know, you should be able to describe triangulation. Now, triangulation this is all leading into it through the segments, as you can see, but here is a definition of triangularization, and it has other names too, but we're not going there. So that's on what page is that on? I'll bet that's on like page, where are we here? Where did it go? Sorry about that. That's on page 3, because we just left page 4. But page 4 kind of, that's showing a visual deal of triangularization there. So Here it is, and it's showing what that means. They're using all this to find this point right here. So read about that. You'll find it on page 4. So what are some applications? Well, to get to the applications, we're just going to have to go to page 5, I think. Components and how they work, that's going to be important. Here's some applications right here found on page 5. Look at all of that. Obviously, earth moving, navigation, mapping, location, our global position. There's a few applications right there. So what are some benefits? Well, look where we are right here on page 5. I think there's going to be a list of benefits down here, as I recall. And here they are. One person can perform a survey. You know, a huge benefit. You don't have to have somebody holding a rod. You get the base station set up, which is really quite a task to get it set up because it must be plumb. You get it set up and you get your rover, what do you call that, calibrated, and then you're off by yourself, as in that video we watched back in what was that? Was that in that was in week 7, I think. Which, by the way, you did pretty good in there. Anyway, another thing to look for is I want you to know something about the components, such as the rover, and what its purpose is. So here we are, right at the components of it. So there's a base station, there's your antenna, and here is your rover. It's standing by itself right now. So there's 3 things, and each of these have a job. This is your this is the antenna here. It's the base station right there. It says this is the base station, and this is what it consists of. And there'll be some questions about these, not so much as what do they do, but are they part of the base station? So know something about the components of it. A dual slope. Do you know what a dual slope is? Well, it's down here, and I want you to see it because I think I'm on the wrong. I have to stay in here. This is a weird platform I'm on. Let's get on down here. I want you to see this. It's worth the trouble. Here's the dual slope. Right here's your usual, like a house pad. It's just a flat piece of cornbread, it looks like. But look at this. This is a single slope. It's all sloping this way, right? This is a dual slope, which has 3D grade controls, has the capacity to do this. In 2D, this is easy, but to build this in 2D, you would have to make some adjustments yourself, perhaps in your adjusting your 2 receivers up here so that you can have the dual slope. This is what a dual slope looks like. What is real-time kinetics? What is RTK? I'm not going to look for that, but when we go up here back to the way up here, that doesn't work well here. Where was the base station? Okay. When you get a satellite signal coming from here, to get to here, it takes time. RTK is real-time kinetics. So that's what these base stations have atomic clocks in them, which means they can tell like microseconds, and they can make adjustments. That's what the purpose of RTK is to correct to make corrective signals received from the base station to correct the signal from here to here over time to make that correction. It will do that because it knows how far away it is from here. So it can do that. So, so do you know where would you mount a receiver on a dozer? You'd mount it on the blade, right? Yes, you would. You would mount it on the blade. Can you identify these parts? I think we just did that right here. This is what I'm talking about. Can you say if you put this up and they didn't have these names, could you label that? Could you label the receiver? Would you know that that's the radio? There's an antenna that comes straight down from under here. That's called a radio receiver because you're dealing with GPS, you're dealing with radio waves also. And of course, this is the tripod. I'm sure you could know that, but you'll need to identify these things. There's a section in here. Let's see, page 21. How far away am I from page 21? A ways. I'll show you where it is. Oh, one thing is the question I remember. Do you know what that is? If you don't, you need to find out because it's going to show that picture and you're going to say, what in the world? It's going to ask you what that is. And then it'll give you some choices, of course. So if you don't know what that guy is, uh, you need to find out. And he's located on page 13. So they talk about safety measures, and I think you can find them down here on page 21. If I can find page 21, not too far away. This is all good stuff here to know. You may want to do it. I'm just telling you what I highlighted for myself. This is all extremely good stuff. Actually, if I do say so myself, it's pretty good reading. So here's your safety stuff. There's I didn't identify anything specific. Laser glasses. Uh, I think that's about the only thing. Special hazards. Mostly we're concerned with looking straight at the laser beam. You shouldn't do that. Wear approved safety glasses. I guess that's just a picture of some. Never point a laser beam at anyone. When set the laser up so that it is above or below eye level. You set it up on the site. Make sure that it's not like a eye level to everyone out there. It should be turned off and capped when it's not in use. Do that for weather too and dust. If you suspect you may have a vision problem after image caused by the LaserSeek medical. Now we start talking about maskless systems, but I'm going to leave the rest of this up to you. I've given you 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm giving you 13 or 14 things for sure to look for, and I think there's 16 questions in there. So if you jotted this down, if you go back to the video, pause it, and find these things, you won't have any trouble on that test. And that's not my goal. My goal is to let you know what I think's important. You'll know where to go to find anything more about it. You can read this, and when you get through reading it, you will not be able to walk on a grade site and use a antenna rover situation like you saw in the video right away. You're still going to need some some hands-on training for sure, and way more familiarization with the the equipment itself. I'm leaning back again. I probably got too quiet. I'm sorry about that, but there is one thing. I think I've gone past it 2 or 3 times. Let me see if I have a note right where that is. I want you to see it before we leave here. Uh, let's find page 16. There's a little picture on there I want you to be familiar with. 23, it's going to be up here. Just is our interpretation. These are all done by some folks that are in graphic arts. This is talking about what you might see. Now, this is not typical of every caterpillar or topcon, but this is just a representation of a generic in-cab receiver that you might see. And you can see it's set at a 2, maybe 2-to-1 slope, or it's telling you what slope it's at. And this line across here, I believe, would be your proposed grade. So are you too low here? You know, this is your blade. It says if the blade is too low, the laser beam hits the receiver above the center line. So it's telling you right here, if this lights up, it's either saying, and it depends on the company, you're too low or you're too high, or you need to go up or you need to go down. I'm not sure, but it says if the blade is too low, the laser beam hits the receiver above the center and indicates a below grade signal. So the operator raises the blade. It's just gonna, I think it's all it does is show you this picture. Look here, you're too high. Considering this, the operator lowers the blade. And the question may say, is he on grade? Is he too low or is he too high? This is on grade in my interpretation when we put this together. This is too high. This is too low. Okay. No more hints. Please take time and read through that just so you'll know the language, you know, when you leave here. Uh, I I can't say that you can step on the ground, but here's what's important is that you it's to everything. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. Nothing's changed since the pyramids. That's a favorite saying of mine. An old rigger guy told me that one time. That was an actual rigger for for cranes. You know, the principles are the same. If you know how to calculate slopes, if you know how to calculate percent grade, and all of those things that we've gone through, that reference point to slope stack, that is so important for you to understand that. And if you didn't, please get in touch with me. That is the goal, honestly, that uh, we did it in week 7, I think, this time around. So that it's reference points to slope states. If you can do that, this machine control stuff is not going to give you any trouble. You're just going to have to know how to turn it on, and a little bit about how to find where different locations are. So that is such an important week, and I forget the week name, but it's reference points to slope state. That is extremely important that you understand that. Okay, I may be through with this. Let me double check. Here we are back at week 8. We saw the overview. Uh, Here is, no, that's week 10. Here we are at week 8. We went over the week 8 overview, which was quite extensive, but we did cover those topics actually in my little cheat sheet, verbal cheat sheet I gave you. Uh, and here's what you need. What this is the trainee guide that we wrote. Advise you to go through that. Don't just because I have given some of this away. Learning is not a passive behavior. You have to be a part of it. I give you 100%. You give yourself 100%, and that's what it takes. 200% to not just graduate. Don't be here to get this over with. Don't be here to just get a piece of paper. Be here to learn something. All right. I think I've done enough. I'm going to shut it down, and I'll post this probably somewhere around the overview, uh, but you'll know it when you see it. Thank you.